We've been talking about a clash of dystopian worldviews. It's Aldous Huxley and Brave New World, as represented by George Soros, Joe Biden, and the World Economic Forum, versus George Orwell's 1984 and Animal Farm, represented by Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping. Here are a few headlines to consider. From Vanity Fair, the fight for Ukraine is also a fight for LGBTQ rights. From LA Times, will Russia bring its war on LGBTQ people to Ukraine? And even from Britain's MI6, the head of UK intelligence service says Ukraine war is about LGBT rights. And another one from CBS, forget the bloodbath, what about trans rights in Ukraine? Let me ask, does it seem strange to you to make this the issue so front and center? Absolutely. It's horrible that Putin attacks LGBTQ people or any people. And it's important for the West to defend human rights. But the focus on LGBTQ exposes one of the sharpest differences between worldviews. The West is following Huxley while Russia and China follow Orwell. By the way, it is both interesting and validating to see George Soros call out both Russia and China of late. He knows they're Orwellian and a threat to his desire for an open society. You can catch the same worldview clash in comments made by former senator, presidential candidate, Secretary of State, and now climate czar John Kerry. Instead of being worried about the loss of life in Ukraine, in an interview, Kerry seems much more concerned that the world would lose its focus on climate change. Russia doesn't care about climate change. They pump and sell fossil fuels. By the way, I don't think George Soros, John Kerry, or the Brave New World care that much about climate change either. They just like the scientific dictatorship that it provides them. If John Kerry really cared about the environment, he wouldn't travel everywhere on his private jet. It really is about control. And they're using the ESG investing narrative to enforce their form of dictatorship. If you aren't familiar with ESG, go back and watch episode 176 with Glenn Beck and read the economic battle plan. We also went into greater detail in episodes 165, 166, and 167 also. ESG is one big part of the very real clash of dystopian visions. And tragically, Ukraine is caught in the middle. The West seeks to install their vision via sanctions and has plotted a color revolution inside Russia to overthrow Putin and in China to remove Xi. They're hoping to tempt Russia and China to join their brave new world. They're also plotting a total reset of our economy, including the digital dollar. We explained that in episode 146. By contrast, Putin and Xi Jinping are collaborating to defeat the West. They've developed parallel systems to evade economic sanctions and will use military force and any means necessary to achieve their objectives. We must be prepared for China to invade Taiwan as Act 2 in this war. This is essentially unrestricted warfare and could include cyber attacks, espionage, destroying our electric grid, or cratering our financial system. Our intelligence community knows all of this and is right now warning about those attacks. After all, if Russia will bomb the world's largest nuclear power plant, what else might they be capable of? These are clearly dangerous times. Putin claims to be defending Christianity while killing innocent people and plotting to rule the planet with an iron fist. On the other hand, the West claims to be defending freedom with a sinister plot to entice the world into a technocratic collectivist nightmare. So what do we do about it? First, I suggest we all stop and pray for the Ukrainian people. They're literally caught in a war between two powerful opposing forces. I fully agree that we should stand against Putin's aggression and use economic weapons at our disposal. But our motive should be to preserve individual liberty, not to enforce a brave new world order. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I do know there are serious threats from both sides. Here's how to protect your money, your family, and our culture. First, expect cyber attacks from the Russian camp and maybe even supported by the Chinese. Look for an attack on our financial structure because that is the weapon that we're using against them. Putin has long described our financial system as a threat to him, and he wants to overthrow the dollar-based system. I wrote about this extensively in the book Game Plan, How to Protect Yourself from the Coming Cyber Economic Attack. In it, I recommend a few strategies. They're simple things like keeping paper copies of your bank and brokerage statements. They can serve as proof of your holdings if things get shut down for a while. After 9/11, I needed those to go to the bank to prove I had the money I had. you should also consider how your investments are allocated. The book has a chapter on inflationary environments and how to respond. I don't give specific advice in the book because there's no way to know your situation, but there are some general concepts that tend to work in various scenarios. There's portfolios with energy, materials, precious metals, and defense stocks that tend to perform better during inflation. While there will no doubt be changes, I do not expect the war over Ukraine to be resolved simply. In fact, if this is a gigantic clash of dystopian worldviews, it's going to be a long war. That's why we strongly suggest that you find a like-minded financial advisor who's well-versed in these issues and ready to help you address them. Unfortunately, there aren't that many advisors who understand what's really going on. That's why we're launching Economic War Room Advisor Training at Liberty University. If you have a financial advisor that you like, please nominate them for training at economicwarroom.com/advisor. If you don't have an advisor, find one and send him or her to us for training. In terms of protecting your family, the appendix of Game Plan has some important thoughts about making certain your priorities are right. This isn't window dressing. Having the right mindset is necessary if you want to make it through the challenges ahead.